bulb crap, the old school, incandescent, burn up all the electricity, light bulb went off over my head, that this is a thing that if it is going to be a 1-year suspension, and I think it may be, they're getting him off the field on Friday. And the NFL wants that. We know that Peter Harvey is in a position to give the NFL what it wants and is inclined to give the NFL what it wants, and the NFL Players Association is bracing for it.
Right.
Chris, they're ready for it. I think they're ready to go to court and fight it as soon as Peter Harvey does it. But that is the distinct vibe now, that this thing could happen by Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern, because that's when the Browns are due to play the Jacksonville Jaguars. So it went from just being something you and I were spitballing about to, as I rubbed the lamp or peeled the onion or whatever the right metaphor would be, that is exactly what's going on, exactly what the union is getting ready for, and exactly the possibility that we're going to see today or tomorrow from Peter Harvey. And then the timing becomes fascinating here, because the longer Peter Harvey waits, the less time the union has to rush to court to do anything about it.
It is fascinating. I mean, hey, this is where, Mike, you're great at this. Hey, we were thinking 17 games. You're the one that kind of went with the year suspension. And as we started to talk about it, it was like, well, there is some things that make sense there. There's no doubt about it. As we talked about yesterday, and, hey, we've brought up this concern a few times where that's a game changer. I mean, 17 games is one thing where I go, okay, that's concerning, and that's a game changer to a degree as well. But when you go full year suspension, 2 years of not playing football, then miss OTAs and minicamp, and then maybe miss the start of training camp again, and then have to reapply for reinstatement, I don't know how long it'll take Deshaun Watson to regain form. And on top of that, it just makes the Cleveland Browns look even, triple stupid with the contract they gave him. So that's where it's just, and when I was getting into bed last night with my wife and we're watching TV and sports, she was kind of asking me about football and a few things. And I just said, man, I would be shocked if we don't hear something about Deshaun Watson today or tomorrow morning. Because I got to think people in the NFL, Roger Goodell or whatever they call him these days, somebody is got to be.
Depends on how much money you have.
Yeah, it depends how much, yeah. Somebody's got to be in Peter Harvey's ear a little bit to expedite this. I got to think that the owners do not want Deshaun Watson to dominate the highlight first preseason week, news cycle here. He's on the field. This guy got on the field and all of the stuff that's going to come with it. That's all anybody's going to talk about on any sports network anywhere. Regardless, even if it's the next day after, it's still going to be him on the field with the shield in a Browns uniform. And I got to think the powers that be in the NFL certainly don't want that look for the shield.
And this has all been hiding in plain sight. The NFL doesn't connect the dots for us. The NFL expects us to connect the dots. And in the aftermath of Judge Robinson's 6-game suspension, we began the process of connecting the dots. And it was hiding in plain sight. They're not going to announce to us that this is what they want or this is what their plan is. We have to put together the trail of breadcrumbs, and that's what we did yesterday. They have wanted a 1-year suspension. They didn't say we want it to start immediately. But you know what? Those 1-year suspensions tend to start immediately. So while Peter Harvey is considering the appeal, there's no deadline, but it must be expedited. I said earlier this week, I expect something this week, and it just kind of all finally came together. They don't want him on the field. They don't want images of Deshaun Watson in Browns uniform playing in a game with highlights on NFL Network,
exactly,
ESPN, and elsewhere.
Right.
And my son made a great point yesterday when we were talking about this. They can't be happy with all these photos of Deshaun Watson posing for pictures at camp and signing autographs at camp. That's kind of a subtle middle finger
Agreed.
to the NFL as well. And you know what? Then the Browns, and this is next level. There's a chess match going on here. And I don't know whether the Browns are playing chess or checkers, because they announced yesterday, affirmatively, they came out and said that Deshaun is starting on Friday night. Most of these coaches are keeping the cards close to the vest. There's no requirement that you say who's going to play, how long they're going to play, and it's not even a home game. So it wasn't, hey, come out to First Energy Stadium and give us all your money to see Deshaun Watson play. It's on TV. It doesn't matter. I think they came out and announced it yesterday because they're trying to get Peter Harvey to pull the damn trigger on this suspension. If you're going to do it, now you know we're playing this guy. He's going to be in uniform. He's going to be on the field in Jacksonville Friday night, 7 o'clock Eastern. So, Peter Harvey, if you're going to do anything about it, you better do it. Because I think they want him to do it sooner.
Yeah,
See, this is where the Browns need to be careful. The Browns can't come off as being in cahoots with Watson in the NFLPA. The statement that was issued last week felt like cahoots.
Yes.
This move feels like cahoots. And that's going to make Roger Goodell far more pissed off than being called Goodell by Rob Watson.
Yeah, definitely. I don't.
Rob Walton. Not Rob.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Walton.
Mr. Walton.
Sorry,
yeah,
Mr.
get
Walton.
it right. Show some respect to a guy that's got a lot more
Mr.
money
Walton.
than you and is older than you. Damn you, Florio.
Rob Walton. There's got to be a Rob Watson somewhere. We apologize, Rob Watson, for accidentally making you the owner of the Broncos. Right. You probably aren't upset about that, Rob Watson.
But I don't doubt, that maybe that was done, through pressure or trying to just to expedite the process a little bit. I don't doubt that. But we did also hear from other teams, saying, hey, this guy's going to play, that guy's going to play. I know they don't have to do it, but I also think sometimes, hey, for Kevin Stefanski and company there, they got to go on with, business as usual for football anyways. Not that, this is the usual business, but they're just as far as the aspect of what we got to do on the field and what we're expecting in that plan. I think this is kind of normal what they do. It's just we got Deshaun Watson. We heard yesterday, Matt Ryan, they let that out. Hey, he might play a few series in the first half. We've heard across the league about certain quarterbacks that are going to play and not play. So I don't know what the value is of letting that out. I don't think teams really care right now. They're just kind of letting their fan base and everybody know kind of what their plan is. But this one's different. And maybe they are strategic enough to do that to get this going a little bit. Yeah, if I'm them, I would want to get it going so you can get your ducks in a row for whatever that court argument is, or for your own football team and what you need to do on the football field and get Jacoby Brissett, and you can just wipe it away. I got to think that poor coaches of the Cleveland Browns are so sick of thinking of the what ifs and what's going to happen and when is it going to happen. I do feel for them. I mean, they're in a tough situation, but I just would be shocked if it doesn't happen here in the next, 24 hours.
And again, it's for us to connect the dots. The NFL is dropping the dots all over the place, and we'll connect them. I really do believe that Peter Harvey wants to wait until it's virtually impossible for the NFL Players Association to do anything about a suspension and going to court and having it subject to what would be a temporary restraining order to allow Deshaun Watson to play on Friday night. And if this thing comes out, let's say 5 o'clock Eastern on Friday, if that's when Peter Harvey announces the suspension and it's 1 full year, which means Deshaun Watson is immediately barred from any activities with the Browns.
Gotcha.
You got 120 minutes to get this thing overturned. How are you going to get this thing overturned in 120 minutes? How are you going to do it? And let me take it one step farther, Chris, because this is another, the dots are out there, and it's for us to connect them. The NFLPA's position is we're aware of the possibility that Peter Harvey is going to do this, and we're ready for it. Okay, fine. Ready to file suit, I assume, in Ohio, just like Ezekiel Elliott filed suit in Texas and had some preliminary success. But if we remember the Ezekiel Elliott case, the problem there was he filed it too quickly. He moved before the internal decision became final. And I've said this before, but we have to remember this as we get closer and closer to the moment it's going to happen. The NFL will be, I believe, ready to file its own lawsuit. And people would say, well, why would they file their own lawsuit? They're not challenging anything. There's a device under the law called the declaratory judgment, where there's a fight that's either occurring or it's expected. And you can be the one to go to court, even though you're the one that would be sued. You're the one that would be forced to do something you don't want to do. You can still go to court and you can file a lawsuit against the person who would be suing you and say, I want the courts to say that I'm fully within my rights. That's exactly what they did with Tom Brady. It's exactly what they did with Ezekiel Elliott, because they knew there was going to be a big fight. And one of the most important aspects of practicing law is knowing where the best place is to file your claim in order to help your client get the best result. That always seemed weird to me, but that's reality. Some judges, some juries, some legal systems, some states have better laws than others, etc. I think the NFL is going to be ready to go. It's not just going to be Peter Harvey immediately suspends Deshaun Watson for a year, Chris. It's going to be Peter Harvey suspends Deshaun Watson, and the NFL sues the NFLPA and Deshaun Watson to enforce the ruling, so the NFL gets the best courthouse. The NFL gets the best legal precedent that will apply to this case. And it also puts the NFLPA in a hell of a pickle, because if the NFL starts the process in some other court and they do it at 5 o'clock Eastern or right before whenever they used to be when the courthouse closed. I'm not sure that the courthouse ever closes now because of all the digital filings. But the NFLPA is going to be caught flat-footed, and they're going to have to be ready to go to court wherever the NFL files and try to get it delayed and stayed so that Watson can play. It's just, how are you going to pull that off? Good luck, NFLPA. I'll be very impressed if you can manage to get Deshaun Watson on the field on Friday night, if the NFL is determined to keep him off. And, Chris, the thing that really got us thinking all of these things, the way that Roger Goodell spoke about Deshaun Watson on Tuesday.
Yeah.
They don't want him on the field on Friday night.
Yeah.
They do not want him to play, and they are going to rig it. And, look, rig sounds derisive. Again, it's part of good strategy and good lawyering.
Yeah.
They're going to come up with the best way possible to keep it from happening. They're going to put him in checkmate. When they make their next move, it's going to be checkmate. And it's going to be where they just knock everything. They're just going to throw the board against the wall. That's what the NFL is going to do.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.